Welcome to Across the Street to Wooden Park, Episode 3. Hi, Mom.
Hi, Tony.
Are you ready to jump back into our exciting discussion on the origin of Wooden Park?
Yes, I am.
Where we last left off, we are just now, I think, living across from Wooden Park. But,
Yeah, go ahead.
But at this point, it's still just stumps.
Well, it's still it's stumps. However, they're already building the actual park. So it's kind of strange how you remember stuff because the more it's like when you remember something, you dig deeper, and it's
Getting
strange.
scary.
It is scary because you start to remember. And the more, it's like those files that you keep digging and digging and digging, and you're coming up with more stuff.
Where are you keeping these files, Mom? This is what I'm worried about. Okay, so what are your first memories of this lot, this kind of, where all these trees were chopped down? It was a wooden lot. Do you see the park coming to be?
Yeah.
What does it start off? What does it look like?
Well, we have the actual trees that were shaved down. They look like, they look ill, like they're missing their bark.
Oh, so they were just like shaved trees?
Yeah. There's trees, but at the same time, the park district brought in,
Playground equipment?
Well, other than the playground equipment, they brought more tree stumps in different sizes. So they
imported more tree stumps to give you a selection of tree stumps to play on.
Right. So we actually played high-low because we were able to jump from one to the other.
Was this the intent of the park district, to create a stump wonderland for children to?
Yeah, it was so cool. And then the trees, the stumps we had these bars like where gymnasts do like
Okay, yeah, so there's actual playground equipment.
There is equipment. There's amazing equipment. It's a metal though. It's like wrought iron.
Yeah, it's original.
And let me tell you, that hurts. That's so old school.
Yeah.
Because God forbid you fall, you will get hurt and you will feel it. Yeah, we also had like the swings were made out of old tires. Maybe they weren't old, but they were huge tires held up by chains. And it was more like a teepee. So there was 2 swings, one on each end. And that was awesome. I mean, we would just like spin and spin and spin until we either threw up or fell off.
Yeah.
We had a tree house.
A tree house?
Yeah, there was a tree house. Well, it was a big tree, but then it had a lower level tree house and then the upper level, and then you would have to go up the stairs.
Like a natural tree this was built around?
Yeah. And you would slide down. It was so cool.
Sounds like a park built by Native Americans who want to use every piece of the park and not waste any of it.
And next to it was like a climbing it was a fence. Usually you see them made out of like that fishing material to hold on to, or you see like,
so it's like a big net?
Yeah, it was a big net, but made out of metal.
Chain.
So it looked like big bones connected.
Wow.
Yeah.
It's like a boot camp. They're training you for
there
something.
There you go.
So I'm guessing you guys didn't have those tic-tac-toe boards that you turn You can
No, we
play
didn't. No,
tic-tac-toe.
no, we didn't have
Or
that.
those shout boxes where one kid is on a lower level and speaks into like a megaphone, and the kid on a second
Was
level can hear
I
him.
don't know. Was that around at that time? I
No,
don't think so.
that's a 2000s thing, I think.
Yeah, this was like the 70s, the early 70s.
So it was,
Ah,
so it was very physical and a lot of
yeah,
climbing and.
a lot of climbing, a lot of falling.
Okay, so what's the floor made of at this time? What's the ground?
So this is what I totally, completely remember. It's that it was a tar that they laid in. It was a black tar. So
Like driveway, like parking lot?
no, it's spongy.
Okay.
It's spongy, like what they put in, like when you go like to a fast food restaurant, like a McDonald's or something, a kids play area. So
Okay.
when the kids play, when they fall on the
Mm-hmm.
spongy. But the funny thing is that after they laid this out, they
Mm-hmm.
put this tape so people wouldn't pass, or rope. But people were passing and getting stuck on the
Oh, when they were
black
first
tar.
setting it in?
Yeah, when they were first setting it
Because you
in. So,
kids could not wait when you saw something new happening. You were just
well,
running into.
this was like a mini Great America, or a mini Disney World for
Yeah, it
us.
was amazing. Just across the street from your house, you guys have an amazing park going up.
Yes, it was. We didn't have to go anywhere but across the street,
Mm-hmm.
and this was right there, and right next to that we had like this big field where we used to play softball or dodgeball, or you know
Yeah, so when you
excuse me.
wanted to go out, did you have to ask permission or
Yeah, we did, but we never did,
you were
because
supposed to?
we were supposed to, but we wouldn't, because we knew we were not going to get to go outside as much as we wanted to,
Why?
because we had chores and homework and stuff, and it was more fun to be outside.
Okay, so with my grandparents, was one of them easier? Was one of them a pushover compared to the other, or were they both?
Um, well, my father, he was always like, either he was a mechanic, he was like one of those garage mechanics,
Hmm.
but we didn't have a garage. So he was a street mechanic.
Okay, traveling
Um,
mechanic.
well, in front of the house, we had, there was always cars like up on, like either milk crates, the metal milk crates, or a jack, or,
So was this like his own personal like side job kind of business?
yeah,
People would
yeah.
come, bring their car,
And
they
he would
say, "I."
fix the cars, yeah, yeah.
Okay.
So he was always busy doing that, or either working, or what his buddies drinking.
Mm-hmm.
And my mom was always either working, or at her factory job, or selling products, like Avon and Stanley and all that stuff. Um,
Avon
so
was the big like cosmetics and stuff, women's.
Avon cosmetics, colognes, jewelry, fashion jewelry,
Did
and she
she?
was pretty good at it. She was pretty good at
Who did
it.
she sell to? Friends or strangers?
Pretty much friends, and she also had people who sold for her. So she had vendors.
So she was like she had a pyramid scheme going,
Yeah,
kind of
yeah, a legitimate,
hustler. Yeah,
a legitimate. Yeah. So
a family business.
yeah, we were told always, stay in the house, do your homework, clean,
Hmm.
and
Stay out of
when
trouble, out of sight, kind of thing.
yeah, but since they weren't home, we were always sneaking outside to go play, especially because we had the most amazing park
Hmm.
in
So at
front of our
this time,
house.
you're like 9, 10.
Um, yeah, yeah. This time we're like, yeah, 8, 9, 10. Yeah.
Hmm. So when you sneak out, I mean, you go with your older sister, who's a year older, but you
Yes.
also have your younger sister to think of at this time.
Right.
So did you drag her along to the park?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Was it like troublesome to have to take care of her at the same time?
I don't think Well, we always knew where she was. Everybody knew everybody at the park.
Hmm.
So we all kept an eye on her. And everybody had little brothers and sisters.
Okay.
So we pretty much all stayed around and just had a good time.
Was there a kind of class system at the park? I mean, were there older kids who kind of had the run of the place?
No, no.
Everyone
Um,
was about the same age?
everyone was about the same age. We grew up together. We went to the same school together. There was a few kids who went to private schools, parochial schools. But for the most part, all of us went to the same grammar school. We went to Kosciuszko School.
Okay.
You know what's so funny is that I was looking at the map. The school was a block away. It was on the 1500 block of Greenview, and we lived right next to it. I don't know if I can say the address or whatever,
Hmm.
but we were like, it was on the corner. You know, it was like you could see it from the house, but when we were little, it didn't seem that close for some reason.
It just seemed further away.
Yeah, I mean, it probably took us like 3, 4 minutes to get there, but looking back, I'm like, it never seemed as close as what it actually was.
Did you like going to school at this age, at this time?
Yeah, oh yeah, yeah. I've always liked school. Yeah, it was fun.
Um, what was it like school at this age? This where you're living now is kind of like working class area, kind of. Is it would like lower working class or
It's
would be
lower. It's lower working class. Some people were middle class.
okay?
Um, but for the most part, it was lower working class.
Were the other students, was everybody in the same kind of in the same boat in the same economic
Yeah,
situation?
yeah, but there was always kids who always had more because you could tell that they had prettier clothes
Hmm.
and nicer shoes
But
and I remember wanting stuff like that, but
mhm.
that was kind of out of the question. We
But they were the exceptions, as
um
opposed to you guys being the exceptions.
yeah, 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 yeah.
Because you told me the story before. Sometimes you guys didn't have like enough money for a good backpack or something like that.
Yeah, yeah. We kind of went to the thrift store quite a bit,
Hmm.
and it was fine. We didn't see anything wrong with that, because we felt we had some stuff. We One time, now that you mentioned backpack, one time I made my own backpack out of a cereal box.
Why?
Um, because I remember my mom telling me she did that too in Guatemala when
Okay.
she was young. And she made hers out of cornflakes. In Spanish, they call it cornflakes.
Hmm.
You know,
A literal
um,
reading, yeah. No, I get it.
and I remember making one also, but I made it out of the Tony the Tiger. So that what's that? Frosted Flakes.
Yeah,
And
they're great.
yeah, so I remember like poking holes through the sides and weaving yarn through it and making a backpack. And I took it to school.
And you wanted to do this. You thought it was
I
cool.
wanted to do this. I thought it was cool. And um, it really wasn't cool.
No, I
Um,
wouldn't imagine.
but I did it. I did it and I wanted to do it. I did it once and I didn't take it back.
Just
Because I
one day.
remember kids,
Yeah.
yeah, because I remember kids making fun of me,
Hmm.
and it was fine. I mean, it wasn't fine when they made fun of me, but I remember not being afraid to do it.
Hmm.
Because if I figured my mom did it, and I guess I really wasn't thinking because my mom did it in Guatemala.
I mean, so did you
This
have?
is this is Chicago.
Yeah, I mean, did you have a concept? Did you have a at the age of like 10, 11? Do you remember? I mean, do you have a concept that you had come from a struggling nation?
No, no.
and you were in like a
I don't,
major metropolitan.
no, I don't remember. I actually don't remember a lot of the struggle because since my mom left my sister and I with my grandmother
Mm-hmm.
at a young age, we grew up more with my grandmother the first couple of years.
Mm-hmm.
So, and she had a very nice home.
Mm.
So with my grandmother, we lived well because my mom was living in Chicago. She was sending us money, so, and clothes and shoes.
Mm-hmm.
So we were doing better.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't think we remember struggling. The only reason I know of it is because of stories that my mom had shared with me, because I would always ask her,
Mm-hmm.
you know. So that's why I'm able to share that with you. But other than that, I don't remember the hardship that she actually went through, you know.
Mm-hmm.
But doing the cereal box, I don't. She told me she did it, so I wanted to do it.
Yeah.
And it's like, what the heck did I do there?
Yeah.
Among other things that I would do, but I guess I wasn't afraid to try to do stuff that I wanted to do,
Mm-hmm.
regardless of what the outcome might have been, you know.
So when you're this age, did you have a concept of Guatemala or like a connection to home? Did you feel like you were from a different place, or did you feel like
I've
everyone
always
else?
felt no, I've always felt like I was from a different place.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Especially when we spoke Spanish, because we have a different accent. When Guatemalans speak differently than
Mm.
other Latin American countries. So when we spoke Spanish, you can tell that we were different.
Right. The
So
other
yeah,
children were from where primarily,
um, Puerto Rico and Mexico.
right? Yeah. So those are two big Latino populations in Chicago,
Yeah. So yeah.
and very
So
distinct styles of Spanish and
and
cultures.
food.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it was different.
So you're kind of the odd one out a little bit, kind
A
of.
lot, a lot.
So was that ever difficult, or were kids pretty? I mean, was it easy or difficult to make friends or to join in?
It wasn't difficult, but I knew we were not the same. You know.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I know we're Latinos,
Mm-hmm.
but we were still different. But I thought they were cool though, because the Mexicans had all this amazing food, and the Puerto Ricans, they had great music and style,
Ah.
you know.
So I mean,
So
this is something I constantly asked you about growing up. Like, what's our thing as being Guatemalan? You know, like
I always say
what's our
black beans.
food? It's. I mean, the staple is black beans, and you really
I
can't
mean,
do so much. I mean, that's not what we would consider like. You really can't sell that, or you don't put it in a magazine cover. You don't hear about people
well,
wanting to.
we're very cultural, Tony. We have so much history. We have so much Mayan
Hmm.
history,
Yeah.
and we're very rooted. And I think we came to this country with our convictions and our beliefs, and we're very humble and very hardworking.
But that's something
And
you
to this
appreciate as
day,
you get
and to
older.
this day, we're still. I
I don't
think
know.
we've always been this way from the very beginning, because it's something that my mother and my grandmother always talked about. This is who we are, and we know our music, our folklore music, and our tapestries. Our culture
Hmm.
has always been a part of our life here in Guatemala. Um, so, but like you said, how do we sell it? I'm not sure, because I know how the Mexican community does it, and I'm aware of how the Puerto Rican community, as well as the Cuban community.
Hmm.
However, the Guatemalans were known as we're Chapines or
Hmm.
Chapinos for men. Um, but but to say this, or maybe obviously I'm ignorant, or I'm not sure as to how we would sell it.
Mm-hmm.
But I guess for me, it's always been that our culture is very rich,
Mm-hmm.
you know, and that I'm extremely proud of,
Mm-hmm.
you know. So even going back to the Mayan ruins, which I did a few years, not going back, I went for the first time to go see. It was so spiritual for me to go see that, you know.
But I'm saying to a 12-year-old kid, Mayan ruins or Jennifer Lopez.
Well,
Mm,
yes,
so
well,
at
yeah,
some point, I think a lot of that comes after you appreciate it or get a
yeah,
greater
yeah,
understanding. But I can
you're right.
imagine
You're absolutely right.
being a young kid, you even thought like, wow, the Mexicans have cool food and the Puerto Ricans have cool music
Yes,
and stuff. Uh, so I mean, did friends come over to your house and have
yes,
black
yes, they
bean
did.
dinner?
And I remember some of our friends coming, and there was a big pot of black beans and bread, and they're like, "What's that, pudding?"
Yeah, okay, so let's explain
And
the
and it
black
reminds
beans.
me of the song "Rappers Delight," you know,
Yeah.
when the guy has to run out for pectate because of the food. So
It's always tricky to eat your friends' parents' cooking when it's a different ethnicity
yeah,
across anything, I think. So let's talk about black beans because this is the staple. This is it right here.
yes,
So you buy the beans, and first you have to hand sort them
yes.
because you have to pull out rocks and pebbles.
Well, there's always right little rocks or pebbles, so you want to make sure you don't cook the
Why did the rocks and pebbles make it into the bean still? Is that still a
because
problem?
it's still a problem. They don't clean them well, and the bag clearly gives you the instructions. Make sure you sort the beans, clean the beans before you cook them because there might be rocks and pebbles in there.
This is the
So
task I remember the most having to
I
do.
cook this once a week still to this day,
Hmm.
and it takes about 2.5 hours for it to cook.
Yeah, what's the process? First, you sort the beans.
Sort the beans, then I wash the beans in a colander,
Mhm.
and I boil the water. I throw in an onion and a couple cloves of garlic. And once that's boiled and the beans are clean, I throw the beans in the pot and
Why are you
just,
throwing everything? Can't you just pour
well,
gently? This is why our
well,
kitchen's a
I'm
mess.
thinking in Spanish, lo tiro adentro en la olla,
Yeah.
you know.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, I put the beans
Hmm.
in the pot.
Okay, now we're boiling the beans.
Yes. And it takes forever. So it's like every half an hour, I have to go check the beans. If they need water, I have to add more hot water
Hmm.
so they can continue to cook. You could soak the beans overnight, but it doesn't taste the same. So that's why we cook the beans for about 2.5 hours. So
They're
if you,
simmering, right?
they simmer until they get tender.
Okay, then what?
And then, well, you also have to add a little bit of salt for taste. And then once they're cooked, we blend them in the blender.
And this is like the slow, tedious process because you can
Yes,
only put so many cups of beans into the blender at a time.
right. So while that's blending, I will finely chop up onion, and I will saute the onion with butter. So now when the beans are all blend, like mushed,
Hmm.
throw the beans in the pan and stir it. I blend all the beans, throw it in the pan, and stir it until it's nice and blend. And it's super yummy.
And we serve in a bowl and you eat with bread. Maybe
Bread.
you add sour cream,
Well, actually,
mayonnaise.
mayonnaise,
Yeah.
yeah. Or you could also garnish with a little bit of rancherito cheese. I
Hmm.
don't know what you call that in English. What's that?
That's okay. I don't know.
Yeah, it's the little cheese that you buy. It's
Kind of
Mexican
like a
cheese.
feta cheese, but
Feta
a
cheese,
little
probably. Yeah,
sweeter or
yeah,
wetter,
yeah,
maybe.
yeah. I
And
mean, in Guatemala we have it too, but I know over there we don't call it rancherito.
Hmm.
What do we call it?
Well, it's because you have to make do with Mexican ingredients here, as
Yeah,
opposed
yeah.
to Guatemalan ingredients all the time.
Right, right. Yeah.
And this is the staple. This is the national dish. And it's kind of like a sustaining food, right? When you don't have
This
steak
is
for dinner every night.
no, and till this day, when we go to Guatemala and we go visit family, you will have beans, breakfast, lunch, and dinner.
Hmm.
We went to visit my cousin. Um, they made us scrambled eggs and beans for dinner, and that's fine, you know. It's different
Hmm.
because usually, and Joe was a little like, he was very, very nice about it, but I know he was a little surprised.
Oh, a bit taken aback, of course. It's like,
Yeah, that's a good choice of word, Tony. There, but it was delicious. He'll eat the beans in Guatemala, but not my beans, because they don't taste as good. Over there, they taste better. For some reason, I don't know. I don't know what happened.
and are you telling
So
that to your 10-year-old friend when he comes over and has to have beans? Like, they taste a little better back home, but these are still good. And he's thinking, what am
actually,
I
our
doing?
friends did not eat the beans because they didn't look very appetizing. It's not like you're eating a hot dog,
Hmm.
with ketchup and mustard.
Hmm.
Um, and when we ate hot dogs, we didn't eat hot dog buns. We ate them on sandwich bread. You know, usually when we went, also like when we would go to a friend's house, they would have them on hot dog buns,
Hmm.
but we had them on bread, and we
It,
didn't have pop. We had Kool-Aid. So but everybody else always had pop. Even our friends who were economically the way we are.
mhm.
I was going to say challenged, but that's not the, um, you know, I mean, we were, everybody in there, not everybody, but a lot of people more or less economically were the same.
Well, it was the 70s, and if we remember from
Yeah,
like the TV show of the 70s, which kind of makes it look a little better than it probably was, everyone was kind of in it together and
yeah,
lived the life
it,
together. And
yeah. I mean, none of your dinner plates matched.
right,
And your drinking glasses, they were from McDonald's. They had the Hamburglar and what other
those would be
characters,
you should have kept those. They're collectible now, but
and also the Burger King guy,
yeah.
So those were your drinking glasses, and if we were lucky, we would save those green stamps from the supermarket. You would save a whole bunch of them in a book, and then you could redeem them and get nice glass sets. But other than that, our glass sets, nothing ever matched. You know, but I think that's what made it fun.
Yeah, that's what makes you who you are today, I think. And we're gonna leave it at that this week. Uh,
Okay.
it's good. We
Yeah.
have our park set up, and we're gonna explore more of this later. So we want to remind people to visit the site across the street to woodenpark.com. New episodes will come out every week on this date. This
Yes.
time, it's Tuesday for you, right?
Today, yeah. Today's Tuesday, November 24th. Yes.
Okay. So look for new episodes here. Just you can come to the site, you can see the episodes, you can click play. Uh, if you use a podcast application, you could search for Wooden Park and you'll find us, and you could subscribe. So you can do that. If you have an iPhone, you just open up your podcast app and you can search Wooden Park. And it's right there. You'll never miss an episode. You'll get it automatically downloaded, or just come to the website. We should thank my sister, your daughter Julie, for the artwork that people
Thank
are
you,
enjoying.
Julie.
So you can go to her site, julisatorres.com, JulisaTorres.com. Thanks for the cool artwork.
Thank you. Yes, and thank you, Tony. This has been fun.
Well, don't thank me yet, because we're gonna keep doing this for a long time, and who knows
I know,
where
I
it
know.
takes
I
us.
just like I told you, when you start remembering some stuff, you start digging in more,
Uh-oh.
and you remember more stuff. There's so much stuff.
There's so much stuff. Brilliant
Yeah.
words. We're going to stop right there. It's so much stuff.
Okay.
See you next
Yeah.
week, everyone.
Okay. Good night. Bye bye.
Bye.